What's up, guys? Welcome to the last stream of 2024. Chuck Silver's Nick Marro. We're here with Occupy Fantasy to bring you the strategy for DraftKings and FanDuel. Nick, how we feeling, dude? End of a great year.
Yeah, man, it's been a great year. Fun little slate tonight. But yeah, this is usually when the NBA starts to get spicy. You're starting to see trades between our preferred teams, Nets and Lakers. Maybe talk about that if we have some time. But yeah, man, it's been a good season, and hey, we're gonna continue to grind. A lot of it left for sure.
Hey, Kadiri, happy New Year's Eve to you, dude. We appreciate you being here. Unicorn Love, good to see you every day. Jose, yeah, we're always going to show up, man. We're here on kind of on Christmas, but we're going to be here when we can to talk about this. We're playing anyway. And we love talking about it, so
You
might as well. We have another funky slate. We got some Memphis chalk that we're going to have to dive into, and I don't know, poor process last time with Memphis when Smitty and myself were on. We were talking about it after the stream, so we're going to try to be a little bit more careful about that. It's a much better matchup today than they're not playing the best defense in the NBA that plays at the slowest pace. So,
yeah.
uh, but let's start with the first game today. We're looking at the Clippers and Spurs. We already see Wemby's at the top of the model. James Harden's not ranked too poorly. Zubac ranks really well. Double-digit OF index. He's pulling the ownership. Let's take a look at the Clippers side first, though. So James Harden, Zubac at the top. I believe Norman Powell is going to be a play. Yeah, what are we doing with the Clippers?
Man, when these teams are on back to backs, I feel super redundant, but it's the same for me every day for the Clippers right now. Like he's fine if you're getting to him. I think he's a little bit overpriced for his role though. He's kind of just a point guard now, and he's
Mhm.
damn good at it. He definitely runs that team like a quarterback, but for fantasy, it kind of hurts his upside. I'm getting to Zubac and Powell almost every single day. Their prices just haven't moved as much as they should have. I mean, Zoo's finally up to 7.9 on FanDuel. Powell, mid 7K range. He's absorbing all the usage here. So these are two plays I'll be pretty heavy on. And then I maybe a little different today. I don't mind getting to some Derek Jones. I don't know if he can keep this up. He's been playing ridiculously well. If you look at the model, he rates as the top DK value, second on FanDuel. The minutes are there. I mean, he's taking 10 plus shots per game, making about half of them. I don't think that holds, but at this price, you don't necessarily need it to. So I like all the starters here pretty much except for Harden, which is kind of funny. And then, yeah, Chris Dunn's fine, but with, what's his name, Porter Jr. back, I'm probably not getting to him too aggressively.
So at the top end, I'm with you on James Harden, but me turning him down means I'm with the field. And so originally I
That's
was
fair.
getting a ton, and I feel like it's because we have the value to fit him in pretty easily. We don't have that many payups at point guard. We have SGA and a couple of the Cleveland guys, I guess, but
Yeah.
a lot of ownership is going to be going to Scottie Pippen. So every other point guard I feel like is going to be a little bit lesser owned. And so I don't love James Harden tonight, but I think we still want to not ignore him.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be irresponsible to ignore a player like that. Like, he's still good. I just think that his teammates can outperform their price more often. But I do want to add this caveat. This is just a four-game slate, right? So, usually on these bigger slates, someone like Harden, I'm completely fading. But on a smaller slate like this, you probably do want to have some exposure just so you're not completely dead if he does end up finally going off.
And then you mentioned Norm Powell. His price is definitely up, but this dude has been on a tear. 4 game slate. I think he's a pretty solid play today on both sides, particularly on FanDuel, though.
I mean, he's getting Thibodeau minutes. This guy's playing 40 minutes a game right now, shooting like an animal. Yesterday, he started out terribly, still got there, 45 plus fantasy points on both sites. Like you said, the price is up a little bit, but to me, on a four-game slate, I'm happy to kind of pay up for him, relatively speaking. He's been lights out, and all the shots have been there.
And you mentioned Derek Jones Jr. Yeah, he's my highest exposed Clipper by quite a bit over on
Wow,
DraftKings
nice.
anyway. 3,600 projected for 11% ownership. If he actually comes in at 11% ownership, I'll be pretty happy being over the field on Derek Jones. Like Nick said, the minutes have been there. We have him projected for 26. Maybe he has potential to play a couple more.
Mhm.
It's a close spread too. Low total, 217, but 1 point spread we do like. I'll point out Chris Dunn is up here too. I'm playing a ton of him over on DraftKings. And then on FanDuel, he fits at 4,900.
Yeah, I don't mind him because the minutes are up, even with Porter Jr. back. Like the issue with Chris Dunn, even going back to when he was with Toronto, Washington, is that he never seemed to get over that like 25-minute mark. But it looks like the Clippers are finally kind of letting him run, which is good to see. Really good defender, good glue guy to have on a competitive team. So I'm with it, man. It's just I don't know. I guess I just kind of have like bias in my head of him being limited, but back-to-back games over 30 minutes with Porter Jr. active, that's definitely a good sign.
Just these bottom tier guys, I guess. Kevin Porter Jr., Batum, and Amir Coffey. Any interest here? I am getting a little bit of Kevin Porter Jr. as a GPP play.
I don't think it's crazy. Coffee, I can get to when he starts. I think on DK you could maybe mix in Batum again, just because it's a 4 game slate. He's near mid price, probably plays 20 to 24 minutes. But yeah, I'm not bullish on any of them really.
No, I mean I'm not even with the 7 and 3%, but they are. Kevin Porter is showing up, so just wanted to mention him because I mean he goes from like chalk to not chalk, and his price is. I think it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I will say this: like, if Porter's starting to really go off, it probably cuts into Dunn.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
said, Dunn's been playing more minutes. I thought Porter played the last two. He actually missed the game prior to the one against the Pels, and he only played 16 minutes against the Pelicans. So I don't mind either, but I would say maybe don't have them in the same lineup.
I agree with that. Yeah. And going to the other side of this game, the Spurs, we got Victor Wembanyama, the top play overall by OF Index. Is anyone else on the Spurs up here? Nope. Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sokan, pretty close to a 10.0 OF Index at their prices. That's pretty strong, projected for modest ownership. But what are you doing with the Spurs today?
Yeah, I mean, Wemby's great. I'm honestly surprised he's not a little bit more popular. I think if you can get to him there, especially if LeBron's in and it cuts into the AD ownership, I don't know. I think you're going to want to get to some Wemby here. Decent matchup. Other than that, I'm not crazy about the Spurs. I do like Vassell as long as he continues to start. The price is up to a point where it doesn't feel great, but again, 4 game slate, you could kind of get away with guys 6 or 7xing their salary and still have a chance to take something down. Kind of feel the same about Chris Paul, maybe a little bit overpriced, but coming off one of his best games of the year, I don't think it's crazy. I'm a huge fan of Jeremy Sochan, the player, but right now, as the power forward with Wemby taking more shots in the paint, Chris Paul on the floor with him most of the time, I am not loving the price. So I won't be on Sochan much tonight. I don't know. I just don't think this is the best role for him in terms of fantasy upside.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I wanted to play a bunch of him. I'm still getting Sochan. I'm under the field on FanDuel for like the first time ever on him, but I
Yeah,
don't mind
the
him sneaking
rates,
there.
yeah, not to cut you off, but like we're dealing with a 2nd year player, and he's been really productive. Last year, Pop experimented with him at point guard a bunch. There was minutes he had at center when Wemby was down, and this is just not that role anymore. So I don't know. I know the data accounts for this to an extent, but I do think he's probably a little bit over projected throughout the industry right now.
Yeah, I could buy into that for sure. I will point out by DK value, Vassell is the showing up as a top play from the Spurs, followed by Harrison and then Sokan. So I don't know. Harrison Barnes, 4%, 1% projected ownership. Models telling us we can take some shots on him. Pretty strong. I mean, I don't know if he's a strong pivot, but he is a pivot off of a lot of the other cheap value we have today.
Yeah, and Barnes is streaky. 3 for 4 from three last game. He went on this run where he had like 35 plus fantasy points 3 games in a row. Maybe he's about to start one of those streaks again. I don't know if I want to roll the dice on it, but it's not crazy coming off a really good shooting performance.
And I'll point out he's $200 more than Keldon. They both have the same position eligibility, but Harrison just ranks much better than Keldon by all the metrics in the model.
Yeah.
And we get that big ownership discount. So that's an idea. Were you getting to any Keldon? I'm barely getting there, even on DraftKings.
No, the minutes just aren't there consistently. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what the deal is, and whether it's Pop or the interim coach, like they just don't want to give him run for whatever reason. So
Yep.
can't do it.
All right, let's see here. What game do we prefer getting to? I mean, I have to think my highest exposure is to the Memphis game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even more so if Booker's out, but Memphis is pretty much the value spot tonight. So, and that game has the highest total, so it's checking 2 boxes. Definitely Memphis at Phoenix, but I imagine the field's probably there as well.
Yeah, my top four highest exposed guys right now on FanDuel are all on Memphis. Then it's Devin Vassell. Then it's Desmond Bain, Donovan Mitchell. Then two more Spurs and Chris Paul and Wemby. So yeah, it looks like Spurs and Memphis are where I'm at. That might be how the field's building. So if you want to get away from that a little bit, it's probably an okay high risk spot to take. But that's I imagine this is similar to what the field's going to be doing, playing a lot of Memphis and then mixing in these Spurs guys.
Yeah, I mean, you can mix in the Spurs guys. You can mix in all these payups, though. Like we always say, we'd rather play chalk value than chalk expensive plays. And tonight's kind of like that. You just kind of eat some of the Memphis value, and then you kind of try to play some of the lower owned high upside guys, I think. And Wemby's one of them.
And over on DraftKings, same four guys at the top of my exposures from Memphis, but then I have two Clippers, Derek Jones and Chris Dunn, followed by Desmond Bain. So a little bit different, but Memphis is what is the same on both sides, it looks like.
Hmm.
Harden is overdue, bum. The thing is, I don't think I don't ever think anyone's due, but I really don't think James Harden is due right now. I think he's probably performing about where he's at in his career.
Yeah, and I want to say this, like Harden's playing good basketball. He's just
Yeah.
not playing the same role that he played in Houston. He's really just a point guard now, not that crazy shooting guard that was taking 100 threes a game or whatever. Like it's not that he's playing bad, it's just the role has changed. And I think people's expectations need to adjust to that. And the pricing algorithm has to an extent, but yeah, he's still seeing crazy usage, but he's passing the ball more than he's shooting. So just keep that in mind. I mean, I like to be hard on Harden. I mean, he kind of screwed my nets, and there's plenty of reasons to go rough on the guy. But I actually think he's playing like the best team basketball he has in years.
Yeah, there's like random stats, and I don't know how relevant for DFS this is, but I saw that like in terms of the last like 25 years, I guess the player who scored the most unassisted points in a row was James Harden by a mile. So
Yeah.
he's not doing that anymore. He's not taking over games. Like there's few first quarters this season where he's hit like 5 shots, but there's some first quarters he's finishing with 2 shot attempts. So
Mm-hmm.
it's tough for me.
Very good.
Like I think we're both okay getting away.
Yeah.
Nick, how many studs should we be getting to in our lineups considering all the value we have today?
I mean, first, it depends on your definition of stud. I'm going to assume you're saying like 9K or over. I think today, too, is probably a good range. And it really depends on the slate. Again, we get these questions. They're good questions, but they're tough to answer. It's really relative to the slate and the games we have in front of us. If even more value were to open up, like you could maybe get to three. I think two is kind of a general decent rule of thumb. And again, that's a tough question to answer. But yeah, tonight we got the Memphis value. I think you could fit Wemby, and then like I don't know, it's tough to fit like Wemby and SGA. But if you go with one of the Lakers with one of those two, I mean, we're talking about two studs. It's tough not to say they are. So I don't know.
And
No 100% straight answer for me though. Loosely with the asterisks, it's two.
yeah, I would say I'm around there. Just the mid range that we have today isn't as strong as the mid range we've had recently. Like on these slates where these 7K players are just dropping 50 plus. We don't have that many of those guys tonight, so I do think that we want to get to these studs. It's stars and scrubs. That's how the field's going to build. Like I said, if you want to try a balance build, you're going to be different, but it's going to be a little tough. I can tell you in my single entry on both sites right now. Oh, it's actually different. So on DraftKings, I have SGA, Zubac, and Jaren Jackson. And then on FanDuel, I have Wemby, Zubac, and Jaren Jackson in my single entry. So it looks like JJJ and Zubac are going to be two of my favorite plays today, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with it. And the Lakers situation is interesting. Like, if
Yeah.
LeBron's out, you're going to want some AD. If LeBron's in, I think he's underpriced against his former team. So, yeah, there's plenty to pay up for. Just keep an eye on ownership. Again, I'd rather eat chalk on the value.
I see a couple questions about Cleveland. Let's jump to this next game first, and then we'll get to because of timing. So we'll talk about Minnesota OKC. OKC, I just told you they're the best defense in the NBA. Maybe they don't have the slowest pace anymore. Maybe that's changed in the past week. But either way, it's not great for fantasy production. And so you mentioned Dante DiVincenzo earlier. I think that's probably the starting point since he's getting a ton of ownership.
Yeah, I mean, on FanDuel, you can't really pay 6K for him, but I think on DK, he's just underpriced. Back to back games over 30 minutes, which is the most important thing. Also, he's taken 5+3s, or made 5+3s. He's taken 10 in back to back games. Just a lot of good trends for DiVincenzo right now. Really started the season poorly. I think a big part of that was just he didn't want to be traded away from all his bros, and now he's kind of getting comfortable here, even though the Timberwolves are kind of in turmoil. But yeah, he's kind of I don't know, gotten comfortable in this role. They need scoring other than Edwards. Teams are like double and triple teaming him. He's pissed off about it. I mean, Randall's been playing all right, but DiVincenzo kind of opening the space for this team offensively has been good these last two games. I think it's a trend we're going to see continue. And at his price on DK, one of the better tournament plays to me tonight. I do imagine he's getting some love, though. I haven't looked at the ownership in a minute. Yeah, 22%. I mean, I'd be comfortable getting over that on DK, honestly.
Yeah, I gotta. So on the last slate with Dante, he ranked out as very poor value as chalk. He went off. Today, again, he's kind of chalky, but his DK value score is not good 12.5. And we have projected for 29 minutes, which is 4 to 5 more minutes than we usually project him for. And the model's still telling us he's not really a good value. Just looking at like the front page of DK value, he's not even on here, and he's 4,300. So the model's telling us we can kind of get away. But like Nick said, just intuitively looking at this, especially if we actually give him the 29 minutes, he's going to look really good. Just don't shoot poorly and don't get played off the court. The 6K on FanDuel, I mean, I checked him out when he was like 5,200 on FanDuel last time. I'm probably not going to play him at 6K today. The 4,600 on DK, though, I am below this 20% since the model's telling me I can be.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, again, this is a situation that's changing. I'd have to check Popcorn Machine, but to see him playing 33 plus minutes, I imagine he's closed. I don't know who that's for, but yeah, I mean, that's a trend. If it continues, I mean, we're going to have to start projecting him for more minutes.
He took Conley's time in the previous game against the Spurs. So he checked in halfway. So he checked in towards the end of the first quarter, played the entire second quarter, and then he checked in halfway through the third and closed the game. Mike Conley only played another, looks like 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. So it looks like he mostly took Conley's playing time. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about this with is how's like the rotation between Gobert, Randall, and Reed to me has been kind of funky. The minutes don't quite add up. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, we could trust Randall to play 34 a night, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Where those minutes come from is kind of tricky. But yeah, as far as like Gobert and Reed are concerned, I mean, Gobert kind of capped around 30, it seems like. Reed, he's the inconsistent one, always has upside, but his price, I mean, yeah, I think there's appeal to him in tournaments. It's just he is the most volatile of the three. I think it's better when Randall's at the five because we get more fantasy production. But at the same time, I mean, we can lock him in for 34. We could probably say Gobert is going to play 30. Um, but where does that leave Reed, especially if someone like DiVincenzo is getting more minutes? So it is a little tricky. The Thunder aren't the biggest team outside of Hartenstein right now, so they could run some small lineups with, I don't know, Kenrich Williams at the five. They did get Jalen Williams back, but I don't know, think he's anything worth talking about. Yeah, man, it's muddled. I mean, for lack of a better word, I do trust the minutes for Randall, though. I wouldn't worry about that at all.
It's just so weird to me because in the previous game, so we, power forwards, center. I think we kind of expect these three players to fill those two spots. That's 96 minutes a game, right? In the previous game, they didn't even play 90 minutes between the three of them, but the model, we have the three of them projected for like 99. So someone slightly over projected in the model by a minute or two.
Mhm.
I mean, kind of like what you said, I would lean towards just taking a minute away from Nas Reed because I kind of like Rudy Gobert as a GPP play tonight. And then Randall, I mean, he's been playing great. So I think we got to fire him up.
Yeah, Randall's one of these guys who's kind of priced where he should be. You're not going to get like this huge ceiling out of him very often. But again, on a 4 game slate, like if you have a couple guys that really go off at low ownership and most of the rest of your lineup's hitting value, a player like Randall kind of makes things like that work. So I do like Randall tonight. Pretty comfortable expecting like 40-ish fantasy points from him. But I did just want to mention, I think McDaniels, like if the Timberwolves go big, like if they have Randall and Gobert, or if they go small, like if DiVincenzo's sharing the floor with Conley or Alexander Walker is, that could be why maybe some of these minutes are getting squeezed out. But again, it's not like there's consistent rotations here, but
Yeah.
it is notable. McDaniels has played 20 minutes every other game the last few. So if that pattern holds, he's going to play 20 again here tonight. This is not really the way to project minutes, but yeah, I'd have some concern about McDaniels' minutes, maybe even more so than Gobert or Reed.
Well, we haven't projected for 30.6. And like you said, one game, we're not going to take too much. He played 32.1 in the previous game.
Mm-hmm.
He's showing up as a top DK value on the model. And then the other player I want to point out here, Mike Conley, showing up with a better DK value score than Dante DiVincenzo, even though he's projected for 5 less minutes. Like, this is the pivot if you want to get away
Yes.
from Dante, because how's Dante not going to be on the court? He sucks, and Mike Conley gets a playing time or something like that. But at 5%, 4,300, 4,500 Mike Conley, I think this is a pretty good under-owned, I don't know, GPP value play, I guess.
Yeah, and to co-sign that, I would say, especially in this matchup where they're going to want Conley playing some defense on SGA. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see those DiVincenzo minutes come down a little bit in favor of Conley. He's been directly affected, but in a matchup like this, I mean, you look at the last 2 games, it's like which point guard did Conley need to be on? Chris Paul? Like against Houston, I mean, they have Van Fleet, but he's mostly facilitating. Like this is the first game since Dallas and Atlanta where they're playing a star. Those are 2 games where we saw Conley get 25 plus minutes. So maybe that trend switches tonight and there's direct leverage there. I mean, for a 4 game slate to find a spot like that, I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm probably going to get some Conley in my life now. I'm glad you shouted that out.
And then we've been on Minnesota for like 6 minutes, and neither of us mentioned Anthony Edwards, but it's just so hard to play him. He's going up against the best defense in the NBA. He is projected for under 10% ownership, barely double-digit OF index at his price. I mean, I'm getting him in my exposures. He's not someone I'm targeting, not someone I'm necessarily avoiding, but I did want to make sure we mentioned him since he's the best player on this team.
Yeah, again, they need to space this floor better, and Ant's been
Um,
kind of suffering because of it. But the prices come down. You can play them. Personally, I'm playing mostly single entry tonight. I think I have 7 or 8 total lineups. I'm not getting to him at all. But if you are, I don't think it's crazy. He probably gets you around 40, which might be enough. But yeah.
And like my exposures are always going to change, but as of right now, if the slate started in 1 second, I have 6% Anthony Edwards on
Yeah.
DraftKings and I have 3% on FanDuel. So it's kind of
That's,
like I didn't do anything. Yeah, if he shows up in some lineups, cool.
yeah.
Get to these questions after. All right, let's talk about. Oh, Cleveland took over number one as a top defense in the NBA. Very interesting. Good to know. I'll say it for you, Nick. Hell no. Love it. I wish I knew what player that was referring to, though.
Hey,
We'll go to
you get through.
the other side of this game. OKC. We got a SGA at the top end who I think is a little bit under owned today,
Yeah.
considering we don't have that much to pay up for. We have Jalen Williams, we have Isaiah Hartenstein, then we have a slew of value. So, what do you like from OKC?
I mean, SGA, if you can afford him, I think he's under owned. Same as Wemby. I think these are two guys I want to have in most of my lineups, like one or the other, just because their upsides are as high as any on the slate, and they're underrepresented in terms of what the field's getting to. Other than that, it's tricky. I do like Hartenstein. He's kind of in the same ballpark as like Zubac, who we already talked about. Um, Jared Jackson, who's a little bit more expensive. There's a pretty good kind of upper mid range centers. I definitely think he's part of that group. Jalen Williams has been good, but he's kind of priced where he should be, so I don't mind getting to him. I'm not crazy about it. Other than that, it's tricky. I mean, Dort has his games, not someone I'm ever aggressive in rostering, so it's mostly SGA and maybe some Hartenstein here. Don't mind Williams. Usually a guy who plays a lot of Case and Wallace. Right now, I don't think I want to tonight. So just better value in Memphis, same price, same position. So plenty of SGA, relatively speaking, and Hartenstein's good if you can get to him.
Dang, I thought we were gonna be. I thought we were both gonna be on Case and Wallace today. I kind of like him as a
I
value
usually
pivot.
do, man. It's just, yeah, as a pivot, I get it. But like, I think on the Grizzlies we're about to talk about, like, there's pivots within the team that you
Yeah,
can make. So it's a little
yeah.
bit tricky for me to go to Wallace.
I'm getting 10% Wallace on FanDuel, and I'm getting not even 10% on DraftKings. So he's in there. Not a guy that I'm playing over the Memphis guys, but I
Yeah.
definitely think we want exposure. And I'll mention Lou Dort too, who's actually the highest value on this team over on both sites. Projected for under 10% ownership. I think the DK price is just too low. We still haven't projected for 30 minutes. So really like mixing in Lou Dort as well.
Okay.
Anything else from Kenrich, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Jalen Williams?
No. If anything, it's
Yep.
Wiggins. I mean, he's been
Yep.
playing pretty well. Prefer him to be starting. I don't think we're going to see that tonight with Dort healthy. But yeah, if anything, it's Wiggins, but it's tough for me to trust any of those guys.
Yeah, I'm not getting any exposure to these bottom guys, but playing these top five guys.
Mm.
All right, let's get a couple questions in here. Amateur hour. Can we talk about Dunn versus KPJ on the back to back? Do we think minutes flip since Dunn played 32 last night? No, I see no reason why we would project it that way.
I mean, I don't think they flip, but I do think we get more minutes for KPJ, which could affect Dunn. So, like, in a perfect world, I mean, more often than not, we're going to see these guys both playing like 28 ish minutes. I think we get closer to that tonight. So I think we see more Porter, a little bit less Dunn, but it's not enough for me to take some big stand.
Braun against his home team after his birthday. If it was in Cleveland, I'd give him like an extra 2 or 3%. But we don't even know if LeBron's playing. He's been sick for like a week. I don't know if we even have an update if he's like where on the scale his questionableness is tonight. Do you have any idea?
I mean, I was joking with you before the stream. Is he not just enjoying the holidays with his family? I think he's kind of earned that. But yeah, I mean, if he's in, I do like him. I think he's underpriced. Like every game he's been on the floor, he's been pushing 50 plus fantasy points, which is more than you could say for some of these guys that are in the 10K range. So I do like LeBron here, even in a tough defensive matchup. But that is obviously only if he's playing.
Did Nick Richards just get traded?
I mean, they should.
Why did someone?
Diabate's great defender, and Williams has been a beast.
Oh no, it's a rumor. Never mind. Someone just texted me Nick Richards with no other context, and it's my Lakers friend. I assumed I assumed we traded for him.
I
All
mean,
right.
if you're I mean, Charlotte should trade him
They
personally.
should trade one of their centers for sure. Yeah, I'll take Mark Williams or Nick Richards stays healthier. We'll take Nick Richards.
Yeah, and you probably give up less for Richards right now.
Happy New Year, Smitty. Our boy Smitty in the chat.
Happy
Glad
New
to
Year's to you.
glad to have you here, man.
He's in Discord today. Shouts out.
Yeah, if you want to hear Smitty's hot takes, definitely join the Discord. Instructions are in the description below. I guess we didn't talk about Plumlee when we were talking about the Clippers. Let's jump back to that real quick. For
He's on the
me,
Suns, sir.
yeah, let's talk about Plumlee on the Suns real quick. Jesus.
You're good. He gets traded every year.
Good DK value. I'm with the field though. It's just the minutes are kind of scary. He's projected for 25. It's really hard to think he plays more than 25, just given how the rotations have been. So I think he's fine. Not a guy I'm targeting. Not a guy I'm avoiding.
Yeah, I'm trying to go through the game logs and see if we've got a game of him against Memphis with Nurk out. I don't think we have. But yeah, the Suns are willing to go small. I will say I'm a little bit more confident in him tonight because Royce O'Neal's out. Royce plays some small ball five, and they kind of slide Durant down there. Not really a center, but positionless basketball, small lineup. You know what I mean? But yeah, with O'Neal out, I do feel a little bit better about Plumlee than I normally would. I will say that.
And did you think Booker's placed? Do you think Booker is playing tonight?
I have no idea, man. I wish I did.
Okay.
If he's in, I think he's fine. If he's out, obviously Beal and Durant are going to look a lot better than they do right now. But again, another situation we have to monitor. There was some comment. He's dealing with personal. Again, maybe this is just the holidays. Personal doesn't practice Tuesday, which is today. So yeah, he missed practice. I guess that means that he'd be out.
Yeah, so I guess I built with him in. I'm not getting too much from this team. Mason Plumlee and Tyus Jones are the guys I'm getting the most, and then it's just kind of like Bradley Beal's probably still an okay price on FanDuel, but the other guys might be a little bit too expensive if with Devin Booker in, since their prices were up with Devin Booker out. But if Booker's out, I don't mind firing up this team. It's the last game of the night. We're all playing a ton of Memphis. I think it, kind of makes sense to run it back with Phoenix. This is somehow only a 5-point spread right now.
Yeah, and again, O'Neal out as well. That's going to create a little bit extra usage. He takes a decent amount of threes. Grayson Allen is back. I don't think that matters too much, but again, it really depends on Booker. Like I think I liked him if, and I'll throw Tyus Jones in this group as well. He's another point guard you could consider if Booker's out. But if Booker's in, it does get kind of tricky. I think all these guys kind of become Anthony Edwards. They're kind of priced the same way too. Like I'm fine getting to them, but I'm not expecting a ton out of them in terms of upside. I'd rather pay up for maybe the Lakers or find the salary to get to SGA or Wemby.
Nice. And yeah, we skipped the Cleveland Lakers game, but we're already on this, so let's just talk about Memphis here. Lots to talk about on Memphis here, so go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, so Scottie Pippen, he's going to start. He looks good. If he doesn't start, which has happened in the past, I'd still probably get to him. But yeah, definitely feel much better about him if he's starting. Desmond Bain, probably the safest option here, even though he is a little bit more expensive than the others. And then it gets a little bit tricky. Jaren Jackson, price where he should be for the most part. We've seen some of these games with Jaw out. He tries to do more than he should, gets in foul trouble like he did back when he was a rookie. But I think at his price, he's probably the best power forward in that range. Would rather play him over like a Mobley. But yeah, I do have some fear there. So if I'm ranking them, I think as long as Pippen starts, he's kind of the no-brainer. Bain ahead of Jackson for me, then Jackson, and then it gets a little bit dicey. I do prefer Contra over Wells. I just like what I've seen out of him more lately. He is the vet. Wells, I don't know, his confidence seems to waver at times. He's always on the floor, doesn't always do much. There's some games here where he has single-digit usage, which is terrible. Just not the type of play I'm ever looking to get to with any sort of, I don't know, excitement, for lack of a better word. But Kennard off the bench, someone you could pivot to if you don't want to get to some of these other guys. But the stand I'm taking, I'm honestly playing like no Jalen Wells tonight. I'm going to have a lot of John Conchar, more Bain and Pippen than Jackson. I will have Jackson as well. But this is the team that kind of is the key to the slate. And I'm saying all this without looking at ownership. I know everyone's very, very popular. But again, I think, yeah, Jackson a little under-owned on DK. Other than that, I mean, they're all just super chalky. Bain under-owned on DK as well, in my opinion. I don't want to play 50% owned Wells anywhere. so I'll probably fade him on FanDuel. But yeah, keep it on the ownerships. But tricky situation, decent enough matchup. I think the game will still be competitive, but I'll probably have 100% Bane. Um, and maybe like 70% Pippen. He kind of feels like Mitchish last night, if we're being honest.
Yeah, that mistake that I made on the last slate with Smitty and I talking about Scottie Pippen, I used the L word. That was just terrible, man. I felt really dumb about that. Today, it's much different. He had a poor game last game. He only played 23 minutes. They're going up against Phoenix. It's a close spread. I'm jamming him again. I'm not trying to get away. And then one of our viewers, Nick, I don't know if you caught this, helped us out with maybe starting a new section on our show, Nuke of the Night, and I gave out JJJ, and he just sucked. So that was really cool too. I'm going right back. I'm doubling down. Nuke of the Night tonight. Jaren Jackson, like him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean Jackson's great when he's on the floor, but he finds himself in foul trouble at times. I think the matchup's better with Nurk off the floor, though. I'm fine getting to him, man. It's just the field is still getting there. Like usually when Morant's out, he's the guy that gets overlooked. Tonight, not really the case, especially on FanDuel. On DK, I would want to be over the field, but again, I think Bane is the guy I'm going to have in almost every single lineup. I'm not going to use that L word though. Won't make that mistake.
Yeah, Bane. I'm getting a decent amount of Bane, but I guess I'm just jamming JJJ. Maybe I have a bigger need for the power forward position. And then Jalen Wells last time was the top of value, dude. And if it wasn't for that, I would not have played this guy. Like we talk about it, it's a volatile value, and it's a player like Jalen Wells who probably depends on hitting threes to get there. Luckily, he's only the fourth best value on his team, like the eighth best value, fifth best value overall on the slate. So we don't have to super jam him in. I'm mixing him in because it'd be really annoying to not play him and he goes off today, but I think we want to look at Scottie Pippen, Conchar, and then Jay Huff, who's not pulling as much ownership as his friends. Projected for 20 minutes. He did not start last game. Minutes were pretty low, but are you interested in taking some shots on Jay Huff again?
Not particularly. I just don't think the minutes are there. Good point per minute player when he is on the floor. It's just been a while since we've seen him play more than 20. Again, obviously with Edie out, you think they need to lean on him more. But the Suns just have Plumlee, and then they're kind of small. So don't know that they need Huff all that much tonight. But yeah, I don't think it's crazy at the price, especially on a 4-game slate.
Really surprised I'm getting more Huff on FanDuel than I am on DraftKings. I would have thought I was getting more on
I don't
DraftKings,
like him
but
on FanDuel. I don't want to give up that
uh,
center spot. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just under the field right now. We'll see how that pans out later. And then, but John Conchar, the actual top value of the whole day on the whole slate, 8.0 OF index at 4,200, 4,600, under 50% ownership. We have him projected for 30 minutes now. The minutes are probably still volatile. John Conchar had an amazing game last night, or last time. He had, what, 12 rebounds or something? Really helped.
5 stocks, 15 rebounds,
Dude,
and
like,
just a 9. But get this. So, like, Conchar is so weird. Like, there's so many reasons not to like him, but he shot terribly and he had a 9% usage rate and he still had 30 fantasy points. So
yeah.
you got to think the stocks are going to come down, the rebounds are going to come down, but the shot's going to be better. So it's like it kind of balances out. I think either way, he's a good play. It's just probably a different stat line than last game.
One thing I will point out too is he got garbage time, and maybe this game stays closer, so there's no garbage time. He's on the court anyway, but he did get a few extra minutes at the end of the game when the game was lost. But yeah, like Nick said, I mean, this is what 18 points from rebounds, 10 points from stocks, 28 points just from stocks and rebounds. Like if we get 28 points from John Conchar, just stocks and rebounds, he probably breaks the slate again.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anyone else here? Luke Kennard. Anything
I
on
like
Luke
Luke.
Kennard?
Yeah, you can mix Kennard in.
Okay.
I honestly prefer Noel's even coming off the bench. He's going to run the second unit. And if Pippen's minutes are at all limited, like if you have lineups without Pippen and you're not locking him in, I don't want Kennard in every single one of those lineups because it probably means something happened with Pippen or they're giving Kennard more minutes. So yeah, I think there's some correlation there. I do think you could play them in the same lineup. Not trying to say don't do that, but I think if there's lineups where you're not playing Pippen, who looks like one of the best plays on the slate, I think you probably do want Kennard in there. But yeah, man, I like Pippen. I like Bane. I like Jackson, Conchar. Kennard's fine. Again, Wells is kind of my stand. It's not the biggest stand or anything. But yeah, this is where the value's at.
Kind of surprised about Kennard's ownership. It's the reason for the confused look on my face. This is high.
Yeah, man.
26 and 25. I still like him. I'm not with the field, though, but I'm getting there on DraftKings anyway.
Yeah, I know. I was like hoping there'd be like some huge ownership gap between him and Wells, and like that was going to be the stand. But it's really
Yeah.
just not playing Wells, and because playing Conchar is not making me any different.
Power for the first time ever. You're more confident in NHL lineups over NBA ones. I hope that changes by the end of the show.
Well, I think they have like a huge slate tonight. There's a bunch of
Do they?
games, so maybe that's the
Okay.
reason.
Barnes or Kennard? I got to go with Kennard, even though the ownership favors Barnes.
Yeah, it's Kennard for me.
Booker was present at shoot around. Yeah, I'm building as if he's
Oh,
in. So
if he was at shoot around, he's probably in. I don't know what his personal issue is or what it was, but yeah, if he was at shoot around, Underdog posted that he didn't practice, so I don't know what that is, but I
okay.
guess they had a practice and a shoot around. Weird.
And Power, thanks for saying this in the chat because I looked at Cam Spencer and I decided not to say his name, but we'll talk about Cam Spencer real quick. He played 22 minutes last game, 3,500. I have to imagine some of this was in the blowout run. Didn't quite get there, but 6 and 7% owned. I mean, he cuts into the playing time for anyone on Memphis. He becomes a good pivot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're 150 maxer, I would mix him in. I'm a fan of Yuki, but I don't think we could trust the minutes. Memphis fans love this kid, though. Whenever he gets on the floor, the place absolutely erupts. But yeah, I wouldn't be playing either of these guys again. I'm playing like 7 or 8 single entry lineups. But if you're a 150 maxer, I do think there's some merit to mixing in Cam Spencer. Probably the only guy that we haven't mentioned that's worth that.
Chris Paul versus the Clippers. Yeah, might be something there. Minutes have been great for Chris Paul, so I like Chris Paul today.
Yeah, and now that Wemby's like playing in the paint more, it's really helped Paul's like assists and things like that. The chemistry's building there. 14 assists last game for Paul.
We got one more game to go through. Just going to try to run through these questions real quick. Last favorite play at each position of the year.
Sneaky way to get us to give our favorite play.
Yeah. All right. Point guard's got to be Scottie Pippen for both of us, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Highest exposed, anyway.
Yeah.
Shooting guard. I'm not confident in anything, but right now mine's Devin Vassell. Not confident, though.
I'm gonna say Bane.
Yeah, Bane. I think I'd like to up his exposure to get more on FanDuel. Small forward, John Conchar.
I mean, I like Conchar. I'll say Norm Powell though. I'm
I
not
like it. Yep. Power forward is easily Jaren Jackson, followed by Wemby.
Jaren Jackson for me. I really do like LeBron if he's in. And if you need a pun, I guess Jones Jr.
And center. What's your top center, Nick?
I mean, I want to say Wemby. That's kind of a cop out. Uh, I really like Zoo tonight too. I'll
Yeah,
say Zubac. Yeah.
yeah. I have Zoo, Plumlee, and J Huff over 20%. I'm gonna change that though. I'm not. I don't think I'm going with
The Huff
20% J
scares me.
Huff.
Yeah, I'd rather
Yeah.
get more Plumlee, less Huff. Like I said, O'Neal being out makes me feel a little bit better about the Plumlee minutes. I'm someone who hasn't been playing Plumlee even with Nurkic in, and it's kind of worked out. But tonight, I think I do need to get some exposure, even if he's not in my bigger, higher dollar lineups.
Hey, Mr. Tori, and happy New Year's Eve to you, dude. Bane Dante or JJJ Dunn? Pretty sure the model's gonna have JJJ Dunn. Just given
Mm,
Dante's value score is pretty low.
yeah, especially with us talking about Conley probably needing to be on the floor to defend against SGA. I guess I agree.
Yeah.
First instinct was to go the other way, but yeah.
Is it worth paying up for SGA on a small slate like this? I think it
Yes.
absolutely is. Yeah, he's one of the top plays in the model.
Yep, exactly. I mean,
And
if most people are playing like four Grizzlies and you could find a way to play five and that game goes well, it's going to be easier to get to like an SGA or a Wemby. And there's a reason they're both sub 20% owned.
amateur hour, yeah, Dunn versus KPJ. It's just Dunn is starting. KPJ is a pivot. He's a tournament pivot. He's fine if you want to do it. I don't think there's really much else there though. Jay Huff and Puff and blow your lineup down sometimes, most of the time probably.
Yeah.
What's Shake Milton's ownership look like? Yeah, let's talk about this Laker Cleveland game before we get out of here. Shake projected for 0% ownership on both sites. Pretty low price. We have no idea what's going to happen. This 10-minute projection is a complete guess. You have any more thoughts on this, I guess?
I have no insight. I'm just pissed Finney Smith made that comment about how the Nets are the little brother. And yeah, I don't think you can really play either of them tonight. They are both available coming off the trade. The thing I'm waiting on here is just LeBron. If he's in, I want to
Yeah.
play him. If he's out, we want to play a lot of Austin Reeves and Anthony Davis.
Yeah, because that's one of the big things, I think, Anthony Davis versus Wemby and what we're doing with those exposures. Because it's like if we knew LeBron was out, I'm pretty sure we're going to have more AD in our exposures at lock. But as of right
Mhm.
now, I'm building as if LeBron's in. I don't think we should be Xing him out. And so I'm getting more Wemby. But if it turns out LeBron's out and we want to get more AD, that could be a really powerful thing to plan for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at ownership right now, AD is pretty much just as popular as Wemby, but I will say he is under-owned, relatively speaking, or
And,
generally speaking, not
and
relatively.
it's just AD has the opportunity to just really up his projection if LeBron gets ruled out. And I don't know if a lot of the field is going to be able to swap to that. And regardless, even if LeBron's in, AD is still a fine play at the ownership. So we're not going to be too upset. It's not like we're playing 70% AD in anticipation of this. The other player I'm curious about what you'd like to do with setting up is Austin Reeves if someone ends up out.
Yeah, I mean, if LeBron's in, I'm not paying this price for him. Period. If LeBron's out, I would. So like, it's almost like you could create a scenario, right? So like, say you build with AD and Reeves, and then LeBron gets ruled in. You got to make sure you have AD at power forward. You go down to LeBron, and then you can upgrade Reeves to like Donovan Mitchell. So like, just make sure you kind of have that 2 for 2 set up. But yeah, I think it's pretty easy to do with there being two 9 o'clock games.
What are these positions, dude? Austin Reeves is a point guard on DraftKings, small forward, shooting guard on
Oh
FanDuel.
god,
Can
I
they
hate when
just
they do this. Yeah, and AD's no power forward on FanDuel, so you have to put him at utility. But yeah, put Reeves at the guard, AD at the utility, and then if LeBron's in, you downgrade AD, upgrade Reeves. I think it's that easy.
I will mention, even if LeBron and AD are in, Reeves, I don't know if the
This
10%.
price, dude.
I'm fine with it. It's a tournament play. It's a 4 game slate.
It is a tournament. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even have the 10%, but I want to make sure I have some percent of Austin
Oh
Reeves,
yeah,
and
you want
then
all of them if LeBron's out, all of it.
and so with Shake Milton and DFS coming to town, we have DFS projected for 24 minutes. I mean, on the Nets, I wouldn't mind paying this price for him. I don't know if we need this center eligibility on DraftKings, but I mean, DFS at 1%. What do we do?
I mean, the thing is, he started for the Nets. He was kind of the anchor for them. He played 30 plus minutes a night off the bench behind LeBron and Rui. I don't think we can expect the same. So, kind of tricky there. But I guess it's a wait and see. But again, like you said, pay the price on the Nets. But coming off the bench, I don't know that we could project him for the 30 minutes he's been playing.
And it's like, if you can't win a GPP tonight because you didn't play DFS and he goes off in his first game as a Laker, I think we can live with that.
Yeah, that's not something I'd lose sleep over.
Max Christie projected for 24 minutes. Well, we have no idea how Shake and DFS are going to cut into this rotation, but Christie's been pretty great lately. Projected for under 10% ownership. He is the other value guy I'm getting to from this team. Not really getting Rui, not really getting Dalton Connect or these other guys down here.
Yeah, I like Christie more so if LeBron's out. And honestly, I don't even know that Shake's going to be like in the rotation all that much. Like Finney Smith was the prize in that trade. Shake kind of made the money work. So yeah, I'm really not too concerned about what Shake does to Christie's minutes. But if LeBron's in, that usage is going to go down big time. I mean, he's been shooting the ball well, but those shots are going to kind of disappear if they're fully healthy.
Well, here's one thing. If someone in the chat knows like a more specific status on Gabe Vincent, let me know. But I just see the Q tag. If Gabe Vincent ends up out, there could be a situation where Shake starts. And even if he doesn't start, he's going to be projected for some minutes and no one's going to play him because we have no idea how to project him. So this is definitely going beyond the model. I mean, this is the worst value scores I've ever seen. But it's projected for 10 minutes. And so if Gabe Vincent's out, maybe Shake ends up starting. I think we want to swap onto him, but otherwise it's just really deep.
Yeah, I feel like he's behind Connect and Reddish, but they don't have many true point guards, so it's not insane. It's not for me though.
Happy New Year's, fellas. Don't think the earlier games get more than projected ownership because people going out later and want to watch their lineups play. The thing is, the last game only starts at 6 p.m. PST. It's not super late, but it is a holiday, and so people are going to be late swapping less than usual. So if one of these plays pops up from the late game, definitely be in front of your computer to late swap. It's just free expected value.
Mhm.
Let's talk about the Cleveland. Do you have any quick hitters on Cleveland?
Yeah, I think Mitchell looks good. I think Garland looks good. I think Mobley looks good. Allen, I don't really want to get to. Dean Wade's the interesting play. Gonna need to hit his shots, but I do think he's one of the better pivots off of some of the Memphis chalk. At the same time, it seems like the field is kind of agreeing with that, and they're getting to him now. Um, let's see, but yeah, I don't mind getting to Dean Wade. Actually, no, he's very low. So yeah, Wade to me is one of the better pivots off of Memphis value if you need it. Playing 25 minutes a game, he's been shooting the ball well. Can't say he's safe, but definitely someone I like in tournaments.
I'm happy we both saw that individually, because before the stream started, like we were talking about Dean Wade and the fact that he has a strong DK value at low ownership. I'm pretty excited to mix him in as a low owned pivot. I have 17% on DraftKings right now. Maybe I'll bring that down slightly, but I think he's a pretty great player to mix in. And then even if I don't end up playing him, I can swap to Memphis guy since that game starts at the same time.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, same score for value on FanDuel, but he ranks higher because there's not as many misprices over on FanDuel today. So I do like Wade, even at 10%. I'd probably end up over that.
And I will mention Jared Allen. His price came up slightly from that rock bottom 6K we saw. He's 6,500, but the model's telling us he's the top Cavs DK value. Pretty good on FanDuel, 9.3 OF index at 12%. I think he's a fine center play to mix in too.
Um, Man, I love Allen. He just doesn't produce the same way next to Mobley. I don't know what it is. So
He's
I don't
had
know.
two blow up games recently,
He
and
had
that's all
one
we're really
great
hoping
game.
for.
I mean, he had one blow up game recently, right?
Okay, yeah. He only had 30 in against Golden State, yeah. But the 49 the last game, that's really all we're hoping for if we play Jay Allen. Today he probably doesn't need 49 to get there, but at 12%, model's telling us he's a good value. I think we can probably get a little bit over the field here.
Yeah, it's not crazy at the price.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd rather play Gobert. I'd rather find a salary for Hartenstein or Zubac.
Let's build a quick dummy. So, Scottie Pippen, first player in. What's next for you?
Bane for me.
Bane, let's do it. What other? Let's just start with our Memphis
Conjar.
guys. Yeah, Conchar, top of the model. You want to hold off on JJJ for now? See what else we
I
can
like
build
him,
with.
but I think we could hold off. Yeah.
Power forward.
Do we want to go high or low?
I don't know, because actually, I think this is the biggest problem I had building my dummy.
It's
I
either
don't know
like
what to do.
you either go Wade or Jones Jr. or you pay
Let's go
up.
Wade.
Like,
Yeah, let's go Wade.
okay.
Nice. Center. Do we want to pay up for Wemby, AD, Zubac?
Um, I'm pretty content with any of them. I wouldn't say AD if LeBron's in. So again, we could try to create that scenario where we put AD at utility.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I really like Zoo.
Let's do Zoo at center. Let's try 80 in the util. That leaves us 4,900 for two positions. Let's take a look at the model. Top DK values: Conchar, Huff, Pippen, Plumlee, Wells, DJJ. Should we put DJJ in there?
Yeah, DJJ. And honestly, if you're playing out this like scenario with AD, I kind of think we want to go a little bit cheaper at center just so we have Reeves in there.
I was gonna say,
Um,
yeah. Let's get Reeves at
yeah,
the
and then if
card.
LeBron is in, you downgrade Davis and upgrade Reeves.
And I mean, we got
There's your
66.
boy Allen.
Jay
I go
Allen.
Gobert.
Yeah, Gobert's fine too. These are both probably. Well, actually, I don't mind the Cleveland stack with although we do have Dean Wade. I don't know if it matters that much, but
I don't think it matters that much. If you want to go Allen, go Allen. Personally, I'd go Gobert, but they're close.
yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff we can do. We're gonna mix up some of these Memphis guys, get JJJ mixed in here. Maybe we don't have AD, so a lot to do today. Let's just. Does Kennard start? I don't think so. No, he
No, he's
shouldn't.
probably going to come off the bench,
Um,
but still play him.
and then, did you any interest in Aaron Wiggins on FanDuel? None for me.
It's taken me a bunch of lineups to get there. Like I said, I don't mind him. The minutes have been there consistently for him, relatively consistently. He's been playing well. I don't think it's crazy. Just don't be shocked if he puts up a dud. But not the worst play. There's not a ton that cheap that you can play. He is one of the guys that is at least worth considering. So, pretty low confidence reply, but it's a yes.
I mean, for me, going off the model, I'd rather just get to the low owned Dort, lowish owned case on Wallace. I'd probably just go with Dort though if I had the extra $100.
Yeah, if you have, it's only 100 difference, and yeah.
Hey, we truly appreciate you guys being with us this year. Our channel's grown a lot. Our NBA content has grown a lot, and that's thanks to you guys for being here. Everyone hitting the like button every day, subscribing to the channel, getting those notifications is great. Remember, you can sign up for the site for as little as $7 a week, get access to the model after lock after the stream ends. We do have a Discord session starting right now. It's basically just Smitty going to be talking for a half hour. You can ask more questions in there. It's a little bit more intimate of an environment. But yeah, we really appreciate you guys. Nick, any final words for the year, man?
Oh, just happy New Year, everyone. Good luck, and I'll see you next year.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, guys. Thanks for being here. Have a safe night tonight.